Thornton smirked. Another loudmouthed black woman thinking she's special. I met his gaze, unfazed. And another coward hiding behind a badge. You ever had one of those nights where everything feels routine, until suddenly it isn't? Like you wake up, grab your coffee, go about your day, and before you know it, you're face first against a police car with handcuffs biting into your wrists. Yeah, that was my night. Midtown Brooklyn at night isn't exactly a place for casual strolls. The air was thick with the scent of fried food from a late-night bodega, exhaust fumes from a bus that should have been retired years ago, and the sharp, sour tang of a dumpster that hadn't been emptied in weeks. The streetlights flickered like they were caught in some kind of glitch, casting long, twitching shadows that made everything feel off. I kept my head down, hood up, moving like I had somewhere to be. My clothes were nondescript, worn jeans, a hoodie, sneakers that had seen better days. In this part of town, blending in wasn't just a habit. It was a survival skill. You walk like you belong, and most people leave you alone. Then I saw them. A beat-up Dodge Charger parked across from a liquor store with a half-dead neon sign buzzing like an angry mosquito. Two guys sat inside, watching. Not like regular folks, like predators that my stomach tightened. Not again. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't carrying anything illegal. I wasn't even making eye contact. But in this country, being black in the wrong place at the wrong time is often enough. Hey, sweetheart. Where you headed this late? Here we go, did I ignore them? Rule number 1, don't engage. Just keep walking. But cops like that? They don't like being ignored. That I heard the car door open. Heavy boots hit the pavement. Hey, I'm talking to you. I exhaled slowly, let my shoulders drop, and turned around. .2 officers. Late 40s. Built like ex-linebackers who still lifted but carried beer guts. The first had a thick mustache straight out of a bad 80s cop show. His partner chewed gum, jaw working like a cow in a field. Detective Carl Mendez and Officer Jake Thornton. Can I help you, officer? I asked, keeping my tone calm. Yeah, you could start by showing me some ID, Mendez said, stepping forward like he had something to prove. ID for what? You look real suspicious walking around here all covered up, Thornton muttered, blowing a bubble and popping it that I almost laughed. Suspicious? How? By existing? That didn't sit well. Mendez tightened his grip on his belt like he was deciding whether to go for his gun or just ruin my night. You got a real smart mouth, huh? He sneered. And you got a real weak excuse for stopping me. I shot back, mistake. Before I could react, Mendez grabbed my wrist and spun me around, shoving me forward so hard my ribcage slammed into the hood of their squad car. The metal was ice cold, the impact knocking the breath out of me. Whoa, hold up. I twisted, but a heavy forearm pressed into the back of my neck, pinning me down. Shut up. Stop resisting, Thornton barked, yanking my other arm behind my back. I couldn't believe this was happening. Again, my pulse hammered in my ears. My skin burned under their grip. The weight of them. The smell of stale coffee and cheap aftershave. My own breath bouncing off the car hood and hitting me in the face. My stomach churned. I'm not resisting, I snapped. Mendez laughed. Not resisting, yet. He leaned in, voice dropping. You people always play the victim. Huh. And just when I thought the night couldn't get any worse, he reached into my pocket, pulled out a tiny plastic bag. The world tilted beneath me. No. No way. Oh, look at that, Mendez hollered, waving the bag in front of my face like he'd just won the lottery. You gotta be kidding me? I whispered, my throat suddenly dry. You saying this ain't yours? Thornton grinned. I'm saying you just committed a felony. I shot back, voice steady, but my heart was hammering. Mistake number 2. Because the next thing I knew, my face hit the car hood again. Hard. The sharp edge of the metal bit into my forehead, sending a jolt of pain through my skull. Warm blood trickled down my temple, dripping onto the black paint. Oops, Detective Carl Mendez said, his tone completely casual. Little jumpy, aren't we? I squeezed my eyes shut. Stay calm. Stay focused. The cuffs clicked around my wrists, digging into my skin. Congratulations, Officer Jake Thornton said, yanking them tighter for good measure. You just won yourself a ride to Kings County Jail. The night air suddenly felt too thin. Sirens wailed somewhere in the distance, like a bad omen. I took a slow breath, tasting blood and rage on my tongue. And then I did something that caught them both off guard. I smiled because these two, they had no idea what they'd just done. If you've never had the pleasure, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a place where the walls sweat desperation. The air stinks of piss and regret. And the people inside? They're either mad, broken, or on their way to becoming both. The ride there was pure silence, except for the occasional static crackle of the radio and the sound of Mendez munching on beef jerky like a damn hyena. I sat in the back of the squad car, wrists burning from cuffs, head pounding from where my face had met the hood. Every pothole we hit sent fresh waves of pain through my skull, like a damn alarm clock reminding me just how screwed I was. But I wasn't panicking. Oh no, because while they thought they were dragging me to my doom, these two idiots had no clue they were about to become the stars of their own downfall. We pulled up to the station. The moment the doors swung open, the harsh fluorescent lights hit me like a slap. The place was buzzing, officers moving like bees in a hive. A couple of drunks slurred their last words before getting tossed into the holding tank. A guy at the front desk was practically begging over a parking ticket. Thornton yanked me out of the car like I was luggage on a bad airline. Careful, I muttered through gritted teeth. I bruise easy. Mendez chuckled. You're about to get a whole lot more acquainted with pain, sweetheart. They dragged me inside, past rows of desks, past officers who didn't even glance my way. Another black woman getting booked. Business as usual. The young officer at the booking desk looked about 25. Nervous. His hands still had a little humanity left in them. He glanced up when he saw me, his brows furrowing. What's the charge? He asked. Possession with intent, Mendez said casually, like he was ordering a damn burger. The young officer's frown deepened. She doesn't look like. Thornton slammed the plastic baggie onto the desk. She doesn't look like what? He sneered. A criminal? I locked eyes with the younger cop. I could see it, the doubt flickering in his gaze, the tiny ember of a conscience. But whatever moral dilemma he was having, it wasn't strong enough to go against his own people. He swallowed hard. Stamped the intake form. Take her to processing. Mendez grinned with pleasure as I was dragged down a long hallway, past rows of holding cells. The usual cast of Kings County characters lined the walls. Hookers, drunks, a guy muttering to himself about lizard people, and a woman with a black eye who would probably be back out in a few hours, only to get sent right back. Then they threw me in a cell. The door clanged shut behind me, sealing me in with three other women. Point one was an old woman with wild gray hair, muttering to herself about the end of days. Another was a punk-looking girl with purple hair and a fresh lip piercing. She sat with her knees pulled to her chest, picking at a loose thread on her jeans. The third was a white lady in her 40s, pacing, clutching a cross necklace like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Punk girl eyed me. What did they get you for? I gave her a dry smile. Being born black. She snorted. Yeah, that checks out. The old woman suddenly snapped her head up. We are all damned. The world is ending. And you're all just sitting here like lambs to the slaughter. The white lady flinched. Great that I exhaled. A doomsday prophet. Just what I needed tonight. Time crawled. The air in the cell was thick, the walls damp with the kind of heat that made your skin stick to itself. But me, I wasn't just waiting, but I was planning. Because while these cops thought they'd won, I knew something they didn't. And if they thought this was the end of the story, they were dead wrong. Mustache cop, now Detective Carl Mendez, tried to keep his composure, but I could see the sweat forming at his temple. Now, hold on just a damn minute, he sputtered. This has to be some kind of mistake. Gum chewer, Officer Jake Thornton, wasn't doing much better. His hands clenched into fists on the table, his jaw working like he was still chewing that same damn gum, but his face had gone pale. His confidence? Shattered. We didn't know, he started. But Marcus cut him off with a sharp look. Oh, you didn't know? Special Agent Marcus Hall repeated, his voice dripping with sarcasm. He flipped open the folder, revealing page after page of reports, photos, and documents. That's funny because it sure looks like you two have a history of knowing exactly what you're doing. Mendez shifted uncomfortably in his chair. This is ridiculous. We were just doing our jobs. I chuckled, stretching out my wrists now that the cuffs were off. Oh yeah? Because last I checked, planting evidence and roughing up innocent people wasn't in the job description. Thornton slammed a fist on the table. You don't have proof of anything. Marcus smirked and slid a USB drive across the table. Actually, we have everything. Body cam footage, witness statements, and let's not forget, Agent Danielle Brooks here. He nodded toward me. Who you illegally detained and assaulted. Mendez's face turned a sickly shade of gray. Thornton swallowed hard that I leaned in, lowering my voice just enough for them to hear. You messed with the wrong woman. And now, you're about to find out what it feels like when the system you abused turns against you. The door opened again, and 2 more agents walked in. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression, pulled out a pair of handcuffs. Detective Carl Mendez, Officer Jake Thornton, you're under arrest. And just like that, the hunters became the hunted. Karma never misses. Carl Mendez tried to keep his cool, but the sweat beading on his forehead gave him away. Now hold on. This has to be a mistake. Yeah, I cut in, leaning back with a smirk. That's exactly what I said when you 2 dumbass threw me into the back of your squad car. Marcus Hall didn't even look up as he flipped another page in the thick file in front of him, reading it like a grocery list of crimes. Let's see, at least 15 questionable arrests in the past 2 years alone. 7 of those cases had charges dismissed because, shocker, the evidence was either inconsistent or mysteriously disappeared. He turned another page. Oh, and let's not forget the body cam footage that always seems to malfunction at the most convenient times. Jake Thornton looked like he was about to have a stroke. This is insane, he stammered, his voice cracking. We didn't know she was DA. I turned to him slowly, raising an eyebrow. Oh, I said, dragging out the word. So what you're saying is, if I was just a regular black woman, this would have been fine. Silence. You know what's crazy? I continued. The only reason y'all are in trouble is because you picked the wrong black woman. You do this all the time, don't you? Mendez wiped a hand over his face. Jesus Christ. Jesus ain't saving y'all today. I shot back, Marcus sighed, shaking his head. Both of you are suspended pending further investigation. But let's be real, he leaned in, his voice dropping to a deadly calm. Y'all are done. BAM. The interrogation room door slammed open, and 2 uniformed officers walked in. Real ones. Not corrupt. Detectives, one of them said, barely holding back a smirk. Turn around. Hands behind your backs. Oh, I lived for this moment. Watching their faces shift from, oh no, this is bad, to holy shit, we're about to be booked. Delicious. You can't be serious, Thornton yelped, scrambling to his feet. This is a setup. Mendez slammed his badge onto the table like it was some kind of shield. I'm a detective. You can't do this. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? The sound of handcuffs clicking into place was music to my ears. They were in the exact same position they'd put me in just hours ago. I stepped up, leaning close to Mendez's ear. You boys are gonna love Cook County, I whispered. I hear the cells are real cozy. And then I smiled, because Karma has one hell of a sense of humor. Thornton's tough guy act melted as he stammered. We can fix this. Marcus folded his arms. Yeah? How about this? You shut up, and we don't charge you with more felonies than you can count. The officers dragged them out, their boots scuffing against the floor. Marcus turned to me. You good? I exhaled, rubbing my wrists where their cheap-ass cuffs had dug into my skin. Yeah, just another day in America, right? He sighed. You want to file charges? I looked toward the door, then down at the thick-ass folder of their corruption. Nah, I said, shaking my head. They're already screwed. And besides, I grinned. I like to let the system eat its own. Marcus smirked. Cold-blooded. I respect that. I grabbed my jacket, rolling my shoulders. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go get a drink. And maybe, just maybe, enjoy the fact that for once, the right people got what they deserved. Marcus chuckled. Try not to get arrested on the way home. I winked. No promises. And with that, I walked out a free woman. But Mendez and Thornton, they weren't walking anywhere but straight to hell. Because, like I said, karma never misses.